Alex and I obviously wanted to get together and talk about, I've got a lot of questions from people about wholesaling, during our current time right now, where we are in the state of the real estate market, what is happening in the real estate market. So we're gonna incorporate that. But here's something interesting I heard, and follow me here, Alex. So let's say you have 100 people and they're all, say, 25 years old. You have a group of people right here. Can you see my screen okay?
I do, yes. Looks great.
Right. So you get 100 people. Yeah, you got 100 people, and this is obviously not 100 people, but let's say you got 100 people. They're all 25 years old, right? And they all have their future ahead of them. They have the whole world in front of them. They have their life. They have all the opportunities in front of them. They live in America, the greatest, the land of opportunity, the home of the free and the brave, right? And they have the ability to have all the opportunity in everything. So the question is, out of these 100 people, who makes it, who doesn't, and why, right? And then we're going to tell you the reason why they make it. And then the rest of what we're going to talk about, Alex and I are going to talk about how to be in the top 5%, right? We're going to talk about that. So these 100 people right here, here's the actual statistics out of 100 people that are 25 years old. And for the next 40 years, let's say they're now 65 years old. So this is where they start. They're 25 years old. And then we fast forward ahead till they're 40 years old. So 40 years later, these guys are now 65 years old. Out of these 65, who's made it, who's hadn't, what's the statistics say? Well, have you ever heard this before? So it's interesting, Alex. Out of the 100, one person will be rich.
Wow. That's the 1%.
25 years old, out of 25, 40 years later, now 65 years old, only one will be rich. 4 will be independent, meaning they have the freedom to kind of come and go as they please. They're independent. They support them. They're not rich, but they're financially independent. They're set. Right, they've got their investments. They can do 4 out of 100 will be independent. 1 will be rich. So that's the top 5%. The top 5%. Now you know what happens next? 5 will be working, right? So they're going to be 65 years old and they will be working. 36 will be dead.
Oh my.
That's these are statistics. I'm not making this up. These are stats. 54 will be dependent on friends, family, relatives, coworkers, some government assistance, Social Security or something like that. They will be dependent on something to live. Now, I don't know about you, Alex, but that's pretty intriguing. So put a comment below if you're on Facebook. Put a comment below if you're on YouTube. How many people want to be in that 5%? How many people want to be on that 5%? I don't know, but I know, I always wanted to be.
What is rich considered?
Huh? Rich?
Somebody's asking, what is rich considered?
That's a good question. I mean, rich is Elon Musk. I don't know.
No.
You can do Twitter. No, probably rich is worth millions and millions of dollars independently. You're someone that could rich is someone that
I think rich is when you're able to live off of your like reaping the benefits of your investments without invading the principal, like taking away from what you have, like removing it. You're just living off of like the interest and your investments and all that stuff. It's not like you have $1 million and you're draining that $1 million little by little. You're living off of your investments and what you were able to put into it. So that way you never have to worry about, oh, I'm going to run out of money,
Right. So the rest of this whole training is all talking. It was going to talk about how to get in the 5%. So how do you be in the top 5%? It's basically two things: cash generation and then strategic investment at the right time. That's it. That if you generate cash, and here's the thing: the 5% don't. Thank you. The 5% don't conform, right? They don't conform. So what's conformity? Conformity is, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a degree, get a job, work till you're 65, retire, right?
Fitting the mold. Yeah.
Right, fitting the mold. That's conformity, right? So you look what everybody else is doing and you do what everybody else has done. So this is different. To get in the 5%, they non-conform to what the rest of the masses are doing, and they focus on cash generation, so generating large sums of money, cash, right? And then they focus on strategic investments at the right time that will allow them to have their money work for them instead of them working for your money. Because if you have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, and it's working for you, right? And it could be just earning interest, or it could be investing in an apartment complex.
Right.
Now that apartment complex is paying you cash flow for the rents. It could be having houses. It's buying the houses at the right time. You get forced appreciation with the value of the house is going up, plus you get cash flow. So it's basically is having your money invest in certain assets at the right time in the market cycle to be able to create cash without your effort. That's the thing. So if you have investment,
that's rich right there. Yeah,
that's it. So you're producing, you have something producing revenue without your efforts, right? Meaning you could take a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, and you could do absolutely nothing, and you could still continue to live your lifestyle. That is how to be in the top 5%. So what we want to do on here is talk about what that looks like, and we want to talk about that. So let's talk about Alex. So if you've got on here and you don't know who Alex Joungblood is, who's Alex Joungblood? Tell us, Alex.
Yeah, who is Alex Joungblood? Well, you've got this lovely slide here that breaks it down. But yeah, I'm a family guy. I'm out here on a family vacation. The previous week we were on another vacation, and we built a boat, a wooden skiff, 14-footer.
Yeah.
As a family building exercise, which is amazing. I love spending time with my wife and kids. I've got 3 boys and 2 girls. Been married 19 plus years. I've been flipping houses for close to 20 years and over $30 million in real estate transactions. And now it's crazy to say over 20 years, but I mean, I got started back in 2003. So, been grinding at this a while. My business does 6 figures a month in revenue. I'm the founder of Wholesaling Houses Full-Time, the largest Facebook group for real estate. So investors and wholesalers. So if you guys are coming from my group, raise your hand and say, yeah, I'm part of that group. That's let's see who's here, who's from that. And I'm currently wholesaling, flipping, do land development. I've got new construction going, and I live in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. And I'm loving where I'm at in this life with my family and my kids, and being able to be financially independent. And I love teaching other people about that.
Yeah. I think that's great. Watching your kids build that boat, for a whole week, and you guys then you put it in the water and put the motor on it and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So
it's cool. So for me, if anyone doesn't know me, obviously we're going real quick through this so we can get to the meat of this, but God-loving man, family man of 2 beautiful daughters, happily married for the past 25 years. Been flipping houses now. Actually, I need to update that slide. It's since 2003, so 20 years. Transactions over $350 million in real estate deals, flipping 25 houses a month. We get about 42 plus deals in escrow right now that we're working on right now in my wholesaling business. We wholesale national. All across the entire country, in every major market, every small market across the country right now. I started a podcast back in 2010 because I love teaching and talking about what we do. It grew to 15 million listeners, 196 different countries. creator of the Flip to Freedom Academy. We have, best-selling courses, 20,000 members, wrote a book. I own 760 student housing units across the country. And those are kind of my long-term, investment type deals. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I sold my beach house in Southern California because California got crazy out there with all the restrictions and masks and shutdowns, all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm out of here. So sold my beach house for 20 years. We bought it in 2005. So we had about 15 years. So it's a lot of fun. All right. So we're going to talk about the state of the real estate market, what's going on. So if I'm going to go, maybe you can, I'll share my screen here and I'll go over here. Can you see that? All right, Alex?
I see Fred. Yes.
Okay. So
can everybody else see Fred? Comment.
Fred's in the house.
Fred is in the house.
Yeah. So both Alex and I got started in real estate right around this 2003 era. And now this is a monthly supply of inventory, and it does month supply of inventory. And you can see these gray things right here, and I'm going to go real quick through this, is the recessionary periods in the marketplace, and you'll see it spikes up in inventory, spikes down, spikes up, spikes down. And what happens then, it goes in sideways channel like we see here. We see a sideways channel that happened here. I spoke at an event recently where there was about 100 plus people there, and I asked them how many people have wholesaled during the 2008 recession. And out of 100 people, only one person raised their hand. One person out of 100 people, meaning they all started in the early, they started in 2010, 2012, 2013 era, and they wholesaled during this sideways channel period and also through the pandemic. So what happens is we started here and the market was good. This is a great time to actually wholesale houses. You have an equilibrium between buyers and sellers. The market's pretty stable. You got buyers, you got sellers, and you get a property, a good deal under contract. You can sell it easily. But what happened in 2005, 2006, the market changed, right? And then what happened is we saw this increase in inventory in the marketplace. And then the market started to slow down. So we started hearing things in the mainstream media about the market slowing down. There's more inventory coming on the market, starting to shift from a buyer's market to a seller's market to a buyer's market, and you start hearing signs of the slowing market. And it was right in about this right here, March of 2007. And no one really knew that stuff was bad. They just kind of knew that the market. So do you remember wholesaling, Alex, during like 2007, mid 2007? Do you remember that?
I do. I absolutely do. I was just getting into doing some like online lead gen during that time. And it was also interesting because, a lot of people say, hey, so what do you do? And you'd say real estate. And they would say, oh boy,
Yeah. But it's
how's that going?
Yeah, but interesting. Like in 2007, the market didn't crash. It didn't feel like it was all that bad. It almost felt like exactly like we are now. So we're hearing hints of obviously more than hints. You're seeing in the market now what's going on with the real estate market, and prices are coming down and there's more inventory on the market. So back down here in this low inventory market we saw down here, you'd see one house go on the market and there'd be 10 offers. There'd be bidding wars on that property. There'd be multiple offers. There'd be waiving appraisal contingencies. There'd be high earnest money. There'd be cash offers with hedge funds that came in. A lot of hedge funds bought during this time right here, during the height of the market. But then as the market came up right here, there was a hint of what's going on now and what's happening. And then all of a sudden, boom, inventory exploded and we went into the recessionary period, right? And we hit the peak of that 12.2 months of supply in January 2009. Now, during this period right here, this recessionary period, 2008, 2009, in Phoenix alone, houses went from $200,000 down to $20,000 to $30,000. That happened in Vegas, parts of California. It happened through the Midwest, have prices that they fluctuate dramatically. It happened in Florida. It pretty much happened all across the country. And it was what's called the debt bubble, right? When, people could get loans that couldn't really afford it. They did negative amortization loans. They did all these, interest only type of loans. So what happens is, as the market and investors were buying properties like crazy because they wanted to get their hands on this real estate stuff. And then what happened? They do the Burr method, stuff like that. And all of a sudden they get their hands on real estate. But what happens when you have an inventory spike, prices come down, you have more inventory on the market, rents come down. And if you're leveraged at 80, 85%, even 70%, and the prices come down, rents come down, then what's going to happen? And you put a pressure on people to now they have to come out of pocket to keep these houses. And people bought 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6 houses. The rents came down, and all of a sudden, boom, they had to start cutting checks, and they didn't have checks to cut. So now it went into foreclosure. Now, during this time, there was a massive layoffs, right? There is, we were in a recessionary period where layoffs spiked. People lost their jobs, and they couldn't get money out of their houses. So, and now what happens is during this time in this recession. So the question is, Alex, are we going into a recession?
That is, when we look at historical data like that, we look for patterns, and then we can kind of get an idea of where we could be headed. And some people say we are already in a recession, and some people say we're headed into a recession in the next, 1 or 2 years, or whatever it is. So, recessions, I would say, are one of the bigger indicators. In fact, I think we're going to talk about that right now, which helps us see what is going on so we can say yes or no with being in a recession.
Right. So basically, there's 2 indicators of a recession, and there's more another, but the 2 predominant indicators of a recession is the inverted yield curve, right? And the inverted, and I just went on investing.com and I looked over here. You got the 2-year yield, you got the 5-year, 10-year, and 30-year, right? So right now, the 2-year yield right here produces a higher yield than a 10-year yield. So imagine this. You invest in something for 2 years and you get more of a return than investing something for 10 years. That's called an inverted yield curve. That happened in April 1st, 2000, this past year. It happened in January 12th, and it's currently been inverted now for about a week and a half. So we are currently right now in an inverted yield curve where the U.S., the 2-year, actually the 9-month is even inverting on the 10-year note. So it is probably one of the worst inversions that we've seen. And the reason why is because the federal government, right, pumped money into the market through what's called quantitative easing, and they pumped trillions of dollars into the market. If I go over here and I look at the Fed, the Fed over here, they went from a $4 trillion, basically $4 trillion balance sheet. This is their balance sheet and assets, all the way to an $8 trillion balance sheet. Now their goal is to get back down to a $4 trillion, and they're going to do that over the next 21 of the years. So that means they're going to pull $4 trillion out of the market. Instead of injecting capital like they did, they're going to pull money out of the market. This is off the Fed's balance sheet roll. And when they pull money out of the market, what happens to equities? What happens to real estate? What have you seen with real estate? It first shows up in the stock market, right? So we've got the stock market right here. Here's the pandemic right here. This is the S&P 500. So you got the pandemic right here. It plunged down under the 200-day moving average. And then because of quantitative easing, right, they pumped $4 trillion in the market. Where do you think that money went? It went into real estate, which you see low inventory levels. And then it went into the markets right here. So the market went parabolic. This is a parabolic move straight up. Now what you see is now they're quantitative tightening starting in January of 2022. And now you see this move down, and we're coming down. This is about a 30+% move right here that we're seeing. So I have friends of mine that have, their money in the stock market, or they have their retirement funds, and they're literally white as a ghost because they're freaking out on this move. And essentially, the Federal Reserve has just got started on their quantitative easing process when it comes to pulling money out of the market. So when quantitative tightening. So with quantitative easing, assets grow, commodities, stock market, real estate. Quantitative tightening, where they're pulling money out of the market and they raise interest rates, you'll see the real estate, stock market, and commodities will actually deflate, and they'll actually come down in price. They'll actually crash. So right now we're in a market where the Fed is now pulling money out of the market, and they're raising interest rates, which what happens? You see an increased supply. So we have this massive increased supply that's just happened in a parabolic move. If you look at right here, we went right from here to like 3.9 months supply in 2004. It took us 4 years to get to 3 years to get to 9 months supply, right? 3 years. We're at the low here, 2020, and it took us basically 2 years to get to 8.3 months supply right here. So 8.3 months supply is basically right here, 2007. And people go, oh, well, this is different from 2007 because they had the loans, they had this, they had that, and they had this. But the overall fundamentals, if you look at it during a quantitative tightening process, I think this potentially, and I don't have a crystal ball. Alex, I don't think has a crystal ball. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but from looking back in history, there has been no time in history where the Federal Reserve has pumped this much money in the market in the shortest period of time, and then they have to pull it out of the market, which is going to collapse, and meaning we're going into a recession. We're going to have massive layoffs. It's already happening right now, and they're showing the U3 layoffs at 3.5%. But if you actually look at the U6, it's about 6%. So our unemployment rate is really about 6%. We're going to get up to 8 to 12 to 13% unemployment rate, and it's going to put us into that recessionary period right here. So what happens, right? And we'll talk about opportunity here in a second. But what happens is this: do you buy land right here, or do you buy houses and do the Burr method and buy houses during this period right here?
No, I don't like. I'm not somebody that really loves debt too much. Like, we bought that Airbnb property that we're working with, and we bought it cash and fixed it up with cash. And some people are like, hey, dude, that thing is worth, $700,000. You should pull out, what's 80% of 700, like $560,000 cash, and I'm not a fan of doing that, because I don't want to pull out money based on a inflated rate, because then I'm just going to be putting myself in a really bad spot and over leveraged, and I don't want to do that. So I don't like the Burr method during this time.
So during this time right here, you don't want to buy land. You don't want to buy houses, right? Unless you're buying them at, super great LTVs. You're getting at 30, 40, 50% LTV, 60% LTV. They
buy houses to hold. Yeah.
Yeah. They cash flow like crazy, because obviously if you buy and hold for a super long time, you pay the thing off. That's a whole different story, right? But if you're going to use leverage to a certain point, you don't want to lose leverage unless you're at a low leverage level. So, but you don't want to buy houses as an investment. You don't want to buy, and why wouldn't you wait till you get up to like around here and then be able to? And there's a certain trigger we'll talk about. But the bottom line is, you don't buy land, you don't do land development, you don't buy lots and entitle lots, you don't buy investment properties and stuff like that. So what you do, though, what is the best method during here is raise cash, right? And you wait, right? So, and I know Ray Dalio says cash is trash, right? And he says, well, you don't want to do that because we have an inflation rate that's like 9.1% that came out yesterday, and why would you want to hold on to cash? because cash isn't volatile. Number one, like the stock market's incredibly volatile. And number two is because you can have it and wait at the right time to pounce on certain projects. And we're going to talk about a specific strategy that you can employ during this particular time when the market corrects. And we'll talk about why this is doing what it does and why it did it in history. I mean, this is literally goes back in history on why the inventory goes up, inventory comes down. There's certain thing that the Federal Reserve does that brings that inventory down, and there's a certain thing that brings it up, brings it down, and it basically it's something we can watch and look for and wait for. So we don't want to. So what do? We wholesale our brains out during this time, right? But the thing is, wholesaling changes. Cash buyers, tighten their straps. They offer lower. Buy and hold investors that are in the know kind of sit and wait on cash, right? That's what we're talking about. Fix and flippers pretty much go by the wayside because the prices of houses are going down so fast that they don't want to fix and flip properties. Hedge funds start exiting the market. And they're not buying, and their buy box becomes tighter and tighter on what they're actually going to buy. So the question is, how do you wholesale? And that's what we're going to talk about here. And also we're going to talk about the best strategy and when to start pivoting, right? And actually start buying houses during this time right here, because not only do you get forced appreciation on the property, and then you have market appreciation because you're buying at a house at high inventory and you're selling a house at low inventory down here. So when you look at all this, we look at it and we're saying, hey, what's happening in the marketplace, we got to look at this. So what's going to happen in the future? Well, I think we're going to continue to raise. It's going to go up and down like this. You're going to see it go up and down and up and down and up and down. We're going to hit a recessionary period. It's going to go gray. We're going to hit a recessionary period. And then the Federal Reserve. Now, we're going to go into recession in the next anywhere from 12 to 18 months. The Federal Reserve will come out and they're going to say they're going to do quantitative tightening. Now, I know on here, if we look on the Federal, Reserve, where is it? Federal here, right here. If we look at this right here, they want to tighten their balance sheet and they want to basically reduce $4 trillion right here between, this is 2020, 2020, all the way to 2026. That means they're going to be pulling money out of the market. So it could get pretty ugly as they pull money out of the market, and the market could get. But I think it might happen a little bit faster than this. They're going to have to pull money. If you saw, the Fed came out and they're talking about a 1-point rate hike in this July meeting that's coming up. So. So the question becomes, and we'll go back to our slide deck right here, and then we'll move on from this. But the question becomes right here, how to be in the top 5%. We talked about that. We said wholesaling in a recession. So let's talk about, Alex, what's the best strategies, right? And then we want to talk about how to sell properties with zero cash buyers. We don't have any cash buyers or hedge funds, and offer price and exit price. We'll talk about that briefly, and we can talk about our thoughts on what that looks like in a recessionary or in a declining market. It's what we're in right now. So if we look at where we are, as inventory rises, we're going to have more inventory. It's going to put a pressure on price. Now you're going to see prices drop. I was looking at a couple houses yesterday with a team, and literally you looked at the market, 2 new listings came on, and there were 30 to 40,000 less than the lowest listing in that particular market. That changes all of the comps in the area, right?
Yeah.
We thought we could sell it for X, but now we have to adjust our price to Y because now we got 2 new listings that came out on the market for $30,000, $40,000 less. Insane. Now these are $500,000 houses, but still. But as inventory rises, and I guarantee people are seeing it across the country right now, they're seeing where there's now pressure on their prices. It's a little bit harder to sell their houses, and they're questioning, who the heck do I sell my houses to? So let's talk marketing strategy. So in a declining market, in a recession, what's the best way to generate highly motivated seller leads in your opinion?
So I like online lead gen. In my business right now, that's all we do. We have online marketing to where We've got people coming to us saying they want to sell their property rather than us reaching out to people like with texting, mass texting and cold calling and things like that, which are dying in my opinion. I like online lead gen. I do it with Google PPC. I do it with I pay for leads through different providers, and I have local SEO because I've been in the business long enough to where I've got really good web presence where people look locally for me and then they find me and we get really good deals that way.
Nice. So you got I wonder if my Safari. Where's my Safari? Where's my Safari not opening? Oh, here it goes. So I'm gonna here. So here's my Google AdWords account. In this, I'll just go the last 30 days.
Yeah, we don't want to scare people too much.
Yeah, I don't want to scare people, but I mean, I just want to show you what we're doing. We're spending about $2,200 a day, which is not a lot. We spent $68,000 on the Google AdWords. We did some direct mail campaigns too. We're spending total, but we got a California campaign at 166 cost per lead. We got 77, 75 for multiple campaign, but we generated 770 leads last month and did roughly $553,000 in revenue. Wholesaling houses nationally.
Wow.
So basically, yeah, from this right here, you know, you generate leads, right? And we convert these leads into deals, and you can convert right. This is a great method to do. So we got national campaigns right here. We work national. I'm spending about $1,000 on national. We got Exact Mac. I got broad base campaigns a little bit there, but they looks like they convert fairly similar. But our conversion rate, look at the conversion, 28.59% there.
That's huge.
21.93%, 11%. You know, I've talked to some of the, you know, gurus in web marketing, and they're like, we got the best website. It converts amazing. And I look at the conversions like 8%. And I show my conversions, and they're like, what the heck are you doing? So this is a great method. Now, can you do this? We have people like students that start with like $25 a day, and they're killing it. They're getting deals all across the country. They get leads for, you know, coming in for $30, $40, you know, $50 a lead that comes in. They're getting contracts or signing contracts. I have actually had a student that started with $100 a day in California, right? And got 3 or 4 deals, like a $30,000, $40,000 deal, and then got a deal, a $1.2 million deal. He signed for $500,000.
Holy
he's putting on the market this week for about 1.1 right now. So
wow,
that's a huge deal. So it's like when you're fishing, you don't know what you're, you know, fishing, right? So you're like, you might get a whale, right? You're on a boat, right? So if you're out there fishing, you might get a minnow. You might get a $20,000 deal, whatever, or you might get.
I love that analogy, because you know what? I'm sitting here parked next to 2 different huge charter boats, and the whole idea with charter boating is, like you said, you don't know what you're going to get. But if you're going to go on the charter boat, which is like marketing for us, you got to pay. You pay to get on the charter boat, and you cast your line in, and you sit there and you wait till you're going to get that bite and get that hit. But you're not going to get that bite or that hit unless you pay to be on the charter boat, and you take that chance and you go out there and you drop your line in. That's the only way. And that's all we're doing is we are fishing off a charter boat. We're paying Google to bring us the fish. And as long as we show up and as long as we continue to be consistent with that, you can't lose.
Well, see, I look at what we do as, because I went deep sea fishing in Hawaii one time, and we had all these lines in the water, and it reminded me what we did. One line in the water is like Google AdWords. Another line in the water is like direct mail. Another line in the water would be like TV advertising. Another line in the water would be you know, radio advertising. Another one would be texting, for an example. So you have all these different lines at different depths, right, of the ocean, and you know, it depending on which marketing method, you'll catch different fish on different levels, and some will be whales, right? Huge fish, and then some you get like little, little
whatever
thing. Okay, so the second strategy. So here's interesting. So you know, I'm part of masterminds. I've been around a lot of people that do a lot of wholesaling business, millions and millions of dollars of wholesaling. You know, and I met a guy at that event right the other day, and he said, "Hey, I got this texting thing, and I got this cold calling thing I'm trying, and I'm doing this, and I'm having troubles, and this, that, and the other." I said, "Listen, if you want to make millions of dollars in wholesaling, there's basically three main lead generation forms. Three. Number one is hold on, I got someone in my office, my door. Number one is he's like, I think he's coming in to check the our whatchamacallit?
Your AC probably.
Our AC problems and stuff like that. So hold on one second. Let me call Alex and have him Alec come in here. He's trying to what? Anyway, so the bottom line is I'm calling Alec to get to help this guy on the he's lost. Anyways, so the bottom line is that best marketing strategy you have the three is Google AdWords or pay-per-click advertising, and you have TV, and you have direct mail. Those are the three that are the best. Can you help this guy out there? I think he wants to check the sprinklers in the office. He like keeps walking around knocking on the thing. So anyway, so the bottom line is those are the best marketing strategies that will produce millions of dollars in revenue, are those three. So I know you do direct mail, right? And we've been doing direct mail. I know a lot of people.
Actually, I have not done direct mail in a long time. I am
really?
strictly
You're the direct mail ninja. I mean, actually, you taught me stuff about, you know, direct mail.
I used to be, but I like online marketing.
Yeah, so we do online marketing, but what we do is we let Google find.
I like your strategy, how that you combine the two.
Yeah, so we let Google find these little markets across the country, and then what we do is, well, those little markets across the country, we follow up with direct mail. So we'll sell a property, you know, and we'll turn around and sell it. And we have buyers in the area that we found. So we did this one deal in Macon, Georgia, right? $70,000 deal, Macon, Georgia. Followed up, continue got deals, Macon, Georgia. But a little town in Macon, Georgia. Where the heck is Macon, Georgia, right? You know, when you ever thought of like,
heard of it.
Yeah, it's like in the middle of nowhere, this little town. It's outside of Atlanta, about an hour or so outside of Atlanta. But in Macon, Georgia is a hot little market where we went and pulled deals. So what we did is we went to here and we went through and said, hey, we hit all the distress. We hit the pre-foreclosures. We hit the tax delinquent properties. And those are smaller lists. But then to fill the list, to have a larger list, we went to our senior owners right here, or tired landlords, any type of landlords or anything like that, absentee owners with 50% equity. So, you know, if you look at like senior owners, for an example, there's 25,000 senior owners. So then you go property characteristics, and I'm going to say, okay, I just want single family and I want multifamily 2 to 4. Right. So that's property. Do I want MLS status? I want it for sale. I want not on the market. So I don't want something that's not on the market. I want ownership, and I want someone who is owner is someone that's out of state. Right. So I have 960. That's a great little list right there. And then I'm going to put an equity filter on it. And I'm going to say equity is estimated equity, 50% estimated equity. That takes me to 925. That's a great little list. So it's a senior owner. That means they want to divest, right? There's a 925 properties. I mix that with the distressed properties, and that's a great list to market. But I'll do that in 10 little different markets across the country. And guess what? Here's the interesting thing that we found on this, Alex, is that no one's talking to them. No one's mailing in those markets. They're not getting, you know, they don't have a stack of mail from people. We're the only one talking and negotiating with them, and they're ecstatic that we're talking to them about buying their house.
I love that. Yeah, because
the whole and they get they'll take low offers.
The whole thing with direct mail is, you see people that have like stacks of postcards with like a Rolodex that they can go through to call other investors to get offers. But when you go and you get a lead from Google in the way that you do it, which are national wholesaling, it pulls an area that you're like, oh, I didn't even know this existed. Wow, there's a little market here. But there's not a lot of people that are privy to it. And then you go ahead and you maximize it by hitting it with some direct mail and things like that, and not like crazy direct mail, but the distress list that nobody else is hitting. And you pull some really cool deals that way. I love that.
Right. So now the question becomes, and we'll hit this one last, the sell properties with zero cash buyers. But now that the leads come in from our best marketing strategies, what the heck do we offer? So when you have a declining market and the market's starting to decline like this, which we're going to see a lot more as the recession comes along and a lot more stuff happens, as this declining market, what do we offer?
Yeah, that's that becomes, you got to watch your active listings and your pending listings when you're watching that, because we even have a property that we're getting set to close on, and I think we're going to get dinged on the appraisal. So, when you've got a property and the appraiser comes in, and he's like, man, I don't think I can give you that price.
Right.
Prices are starting to come down in that area. So you got to watch those pending properties and see what's going on with that. And then, pay attention to that new active ones that are coming on as well. But
right.
It also comes back to looking at the deal hacking and seeing what other cash buyers are paying.
So let me see where, I'm trying to find, I don't think I have the, yeah. So anyway, so we got this deal, and so here's what we've been telling our team and my team of people as this comes down in the marketplace, is that we want to be the lowest available property. So what we've been doing, a lowest available property, and obviously it's gonna comp and stuff like that. But what we've been doing is as this is coming along, we'll go to Zillow, and we want to be the cheapest available property on the market. But what we're doing is offering 60% of Zillow price out of the gate. 60% of Zillow price out of the gate. So, and then what's going to happen is they'll go from 60, then it's going to go from 58, then it's going to go from 55, then it's going to go to 54, then it's going to go to 50, then it's going to go down. This is exactly what happened in 2008 era, is we just started dropping the offer price based upon, online present, like a Zillow type of thing that came out and gave us pricing. Now, the thing is, people had a whole issue with the Zestimate because they included foreclosures in the mix. I think they cleaned that up, but the bottom line is that we're coming out, and as the inventory increases, we're not there yet of what we're doing, but as the inventory increases in the marketplace right here, and inventory spikes up, and we're up to 9, 10, 11 month supply in marketplaces, and you go into certain markets, like we looked at a house in Crestline, California yesterday, right? This house, we pulled up the map, and there is properties all over the place for sale. It's like insane. So there's a ton of inventory in that particular market, which is crazy. So I'm going to stop. Let me see if I can go back to, how do I go back to Be Live here? Did I stop sharing?
I see you again.
Okay. So I'm going to, so do you happen to, let me see. I want to try to find a property for you guys. Okay, so I want to look at this property right here with you guys just for fun. RED. Okay. So am I sharing my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, no. Oh, I thought I was sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. I had to flip over. Okay. So see this house right here? So we got this house under contract, right? And what I do is we'll pull this, go over here. This. And then I'll go to the basically take the zip code right here because Redfin screwed up their stuff. But this is in Morrisville. Hold on. Let me go over here. I'll do it like this. Oops. And you can do it here. This is in Morrisville, North Carolina. Here's all the inventory available right here. So if you can see in this particular zip code, there is, how do I move this thing? Anyways, I got this stupid BeLive thing in the way here, so I can't scroll it. Maybe I can just do it with my things. Okay. So you can zoom in on the properties here in Morrisville, and it won't let me change the satellite on it because it's the BeLive thing's in the way. But here's where the location, you'll see a lot of inventory in the market right here. So with this property right here, it's a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square feet. We got under the property for $80,000, right? And we did something with it, and then we listed it for 150. What's up? Huh? Hide? Oh, hide. Okay, perfect. All right. So we fixed it. So this particular property right here, is it working? This property, we listed it for 150,000, and we got it bid up to $185,000. So this particular property right here. Now, we put it out initially on a software called Investor Lift, Crickets, right? Crickets, because no one's in this little town. Look where this is. And I got to get rid of this stupid street map. So if I go here, now this is outside of Charlotte, a ways right there. There's Charlotte. There's Morrisville right here. It's about an hour outside this little town right here. But we put it out. Crickets from investors, cricket from cash buyers. But what we did is that we strategically positioned the seller to be able to get an attorney in fact document signed where we turn around and list the property on the MLS. We listed it for below, and we had that property bid up. So we listed it, instead of listing it high and having it sit there and wait, we list properties low, like super low, and we list this now. We're in it for 80, even selling it for 150 is a smoking deal. But we had offers in.
What did you list it for?
We listed it for 150.
Okay.
We got it for 80. Listed it for 150. It bid up to 185.
Wow.
And we did a flat fee listing, and we pay a commission on it. So we pay a 3% commission on that 185. And it's an as-is buyer that came in and purchased that, and they're a husband and wife team, and they're just going to come in and fix it up, and then either hold on to it or they're going to just turn around and sell it. So this property I'm closing.
I love those deals right there.
Just like this. I mean, just like this. And I've never been to Morrisville. I've never seen the property. We got pictures. We had to do a cash for keys with a tenant in this property to get him out. So there's obviously tenant issues we had to deal with. But the seller's just like, get this property off the books. So, so when looking at that, when it comes to how to sell properties with, zero cash buyers, we have been strategically positioning to seller to list all of our properties on the MLS. Because here's the thing, during a recessionary period, which we talked about here, cash buyers, hedge funds, and all this type of stuff, they evaporate. And they're very few and far between, and they reduce their buy prices dramatically. So what happens is you're sitting there with a bunch of properties on the books and you can't sell them, and you're wondering why, and you can't find a buyer. But retail buyers will buy during this entire period because you have migration, you have people moving across the country, we have people in a recession where they lose their job, they sell their house, and they want to go buy another house or something. So what happens is there's still retail buyers that are buying during this time period. So you've got to understand and learn strategically how to list your properties on the MLS, doing it correctly, positioning with the seller, and using the attorney in fact document, and working with a flat fee listing service, so you're not paying a 6% commission on the onslaught of that. So This has been working.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we're listing all of our properties on the MLS right now, every single one of them. All properties that come in, our protocol is we'll put them out of investor lift and then we turn around and list them. But I can tell you right now, 90%, 99%, 95% of our properties, we sold one last week on investor lift, but 95% of our properties are selling via MLS. Right. And I have cartel mode on investor lift, and still with the texting and all that type of stuff, it's not working because cash buyers have pulled out of the market, or we get these ridiculously lowball offers that don't even make sense. Right. So that happens. So when it comes to offer price and exit price, there will become a time, and we're really not there yet, but literally your flat line offer is going to be 60%. And you're going to sell it for 75, right? Or your flat line offer is going to be 50% and you're going to sell it for 55, 60%. You're going to make 5 to 10 points on the deal. So here's a couple examples of a deal we did in, this is one in California right here, 785, 810. We made 25 on that one. Here's one in Holbrook, New York, $34,000.
Holbrook, New York.
Holbrook. Have you ever been to Holbrook? Do you even know what Holbrook looks like? It's a town of 12.
You know,
it's a town of 12.
Holy smokes.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I'm from Long Island, but I don't know. I don't know if I've ever heard of Holbrook.
I know. You've been there. This one is Panama City Beach. This was a good deal right here.
That is a good one.
Well, it was a cute little house, but you couldn't vacation rent it based upon otherwise I would have just kept it myself. You can't vacation rent because it's literally walking distance to the beach. But you can't vacation rent it because of the HOA only allows 6-month and year-long leases, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which sucks. All right. So a couple different things I want to talk about and you talked about it in your email you sent. You talked about the squeeze, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us about that squeeze that you're talking about.
So the squeeze that I'm talking about here is when you've got cash buyers and hedge funds, like they're pulling out, or they need really, really low prices in order for their deals to make sense. That's one side of it. On the other side, like let's picture a vice, right? You're in the middle, and you've got cash buyers on one side that are like, man, I need lower prices, so I'm going to start to squeeze on you that way. And then you've got homeowners that are still believing that they've got all this equity in their house, and they got all this that their house is worth, they've got gold buried in the backyard, right?
Right.
Which I refer to as phantom equity. It's equity that they think they have that really doesn't exist. And so when you've got cash buyers and the phantom equity sellers coming together, it starts to squeeze on you as the wholesaler investor in the middle. And a lot of people are going to get squeezed out of business because they don't know how to operate in a market in a recessionary period like we're talking about.
Right.
A lot of these people popped up in 2013. And what was happening in 2013? The market was starting to take off. And it's like, you can't really lose in a market like that. I mean, we bought deals that we probably shouldn't have bought back in 13 and 14. And we had title issues, and we actually had to hold them for multiple years. But guess what? It worked out. Right. It was worth more on the flip side because we had to hold it for so long. So you can't lose in a rising market. Rising tide brings up all ships, right?
Exactly.
So
but you don't want to hang on to it for 20 years, right? And have it sucks for the 10 years, and then it's good for the last 5 years, right? Or last 2 years, right? So
yes.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a little bit of a different big squeeze, and it happens to do with us as real estate wholesalers. So we know we want to wholesale during this. This is the time we want to pivot right here, and there's the indicator that we look for, and it's when the Federal Reserve does quantitative easing, right? So we know that historically, what happens historically is when the Fed in a recessionary period, the Federal Reserve, their protocol to get out of a recession is they lower interest rates and they pump money into the market. And when they pump money in the market, what happens is the stock market increases, equity, you'll see the stock market, just like they did after coronavirus, increases, just like this. You'll see commodity prices increase, and you'll see housing prices increase. So quantitative easing is when they pump money into the market and they do a rate lowering campaign. Quantitative tightening is when they pull money out of the market and they raise rates. So we're in a quantitative tightening environment right now. And in a quantitative tightening environment, the stock market goes down, real estate goes down, and commodities go down. You can see it in wheat. Wheat was 1,600. Now it's like, I don't know, it's like 1,400. Now it's like 800. Soybeans were at 1,700. Now it's like, I think 11 or 1,200. So you're seeing coffee prices have come down off their high. Oil prices were at 130. Now they're about $100 a barrel. So what happens is that we are going into a recession. We know that's going to happen because of the two indicators. And we know that the Federal Reserve, to get out of a recession, has to do quantitative easing. They have to pump money in the market. But the question is, how long is that? They're going to have to pivot and change their balance sheet, projections of what they want to do to start their quantitative easing process to get us out of a recession. So I think we're going to be wholesaling for the next 12 to 2 years, 24 months. We're going to be wholesaling like crazy, raising a bunch of cash. And then we're going to pivot because the Fed's going to come out during a recession. They're going to say, we're quantitative easing, we're lowering rates. And then that is the time when this happens. This exactly point on the end of 2008, beginning of 2009, the Federal Reserve came out and said, we're quantitative easing. They did a rate lowering campaign. They pumped money into the market. And what happened? Real estate inventories dropped like a rock, and real estate prices went up through the roof. So real estate prices we went in a sideways channel. And then they did it again for the pandemic, which lowered inventory again. You put a bunch of money in the market, people feel rich, they buy houses, they upgrade their house, they buy all sorts of stuff, they buy stocks, and everything expands. And then in quantitative tightening, everything contracts. So we're at a point right now, inventories going higher, we're going to hit a recession, and then there's going to be a point where they do quantitative easing. Now, let's look at us as real estate wholesalers. What does that mean for us? Well, we got to look at, right, number one, well, here's the inflation. This is the number one reason why they're doing that. But you look at people are canceling home sales right now, cancel at the highest rate since the pandemic. So people, this is Redfin, they're canceling homes, which that's going to do. It's going to create more inventory in the market. You see the 30-year rate right here. We're back to basically recession highs, 6.6%. They're doing another rate hike that's coming up at the end of July here that's going to raise rates even higher. But we're still at low rates, which is good. So we still have a demand in the market. So now the question is foreclosures, right? What's going to happen with foreclosures? Well, foreclosures surged to 181%. There are still some states in forbearance right now, and those forbearances were removed in June. Right? So foreclosures surged to 181%, highest level since March of 2020. So we have that whole thing going on, which is crazy, right? And then we have the debt levels, right? So we have consumer debt. We got consumer debt right here up to historically high levels. So if you have consumer debt at historically high levels, we got foreclosures that are happening in the marketplace because of the whole pandemic. They've kicked the can down the road long enough. Now it's going to come to a head. And you have super high debt levels. Then you have U.S. debt levels. Here's our national debt right here, which is amazing.
Wow.
This is our national debt, and here's what it's ticking at right here. So we're at $30 trillion in U.S. debt right now at the U.S. market. And we have a negative GDP that happened this past quarter. If we have another negative GDP, we're technically in a recession. That means we're not going to be able to pay our debt interest on this $30 trillion.
That gives me anxiety to watch.
And they're trying to pay more. They're trying to put out more stimulus and print more money, which is just going to, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but if you talk to Ray Dalio, it's going to bankrupt, the United States. So
I thought watching our Amazon bill was bad.
Yeah, I mean, this gives you anxiety. So anyway, so if you have historically high debt levels and we go into a recession, where do people get money?
Where do they get money?
If you got super high debt and someone gets laid off from their job, they're in a recession, they're laid off from their job, where do they get money?
Well, there's some that say they're going to pull it out of their house on a refi at a higher rate, and they don't care.
Yeah. Now, refi rates have gone through the roof in the past couple months because people are pulling money out of their house, and now, which is increasing this debt rate. But the question is, someone gets laid off, right? Maybe they're in foreclosure, or maybe they're in foreclosure. They get laid off. Where do they get money?
Credit card?
Their house. That's why the marketing that you want to have is turn your house into cash, right? And here's why. Look at this right here. This right here is owner's equity. If you see owner's equity back in 2008, it was $10 trillion. Look at the owner's equity now.
Holy smokes.
$26 trillion. Actually, $1 billion, $26 billion.
That is the difference
this is
there.
$1 trillion, yeah. So right here, people are, yes, they're going to be in trouble, right? Because of this whole quantitative easing. Yes, they're going to be in trouble for foreclosures. Yes, they're going to be in trouble because we're going into a recession. Yes, all that's going to happen, but they have equity, right? So as a real estate wholesaler, they need to turn their house into cash. That's your message. As a real estate wholesaler, they come to you because they want to sell it quick. They can't wait a timeline and fix up the property and put it on the MLS and do all the other stuff, right? They want to go to you, and you're going to position to sell it on the MLS, right? Because they want that prop. They want to guarantee. The reason why people don't want to put it on the MLS because they don't want to fix the property. They don't want to hassle with that. They don't want to deal with the realtor. They want a price and they want a timeline of when they're going to close. So what we'll do is we take the risk on by listing the property and dealing with all the scheduling and stuff like that, dealing with the buyers, dealing with the paperwork, and we get that. And they just care about their price and how much cash they're going to get at closing. We have so many people that don't want to list, but then want to work with us and list, right? Which is really, really interesting. I thought that was going to be a very tough, but we're signing contracts left and right. Anyways, so that's where during this time right here, wholesaling is the right time. Now, check this out. So we want to wholesale. When it pivots, then we've got to squeeze. So what do we do to maximize, make the most cash during this time right here? When the market comes down and they do quantitative easing, how can we make the most cash? Right here. We want to make a ton of money during this, and this is a market appreciation. You get forced appreciation in the house. You buy the house cheap at 30, 40, 50 cents on the dollar, and you get the market appreciation along it with low inventory, which raises prices. What's the best method? And I call it the big squeeze. And why I talk about that is, has anyone ever heard of Bill Ackman? So Bill Ackman turned $27 million bet into $2.6 billion in a genius investment in 2020. And he bet that the stock market would crash in 2020, right? Because of the pandemic. And he shorted, and he did it in like different derivatives and stuff like that. But he shorted, and this move right here, he turned 26 million into 2.6 billion in this move right here, right? This move right here. Now, interestingly enough, that not everybody's brilliant. He also had I think it was like $1 billion bet on Netflix, right? And Netflix got crushed on earnings. I think I made a bunch of money on Netflix, shorting Netflix. But Netflix, he lost $450 million on a Netflix bet because he thought it was a good investment, and it literally cut in half in price on him. Anyway, so Bill Ackman, his big bet was 27 million and 26 billion. You've got Michael Burry. Everybody knows Michael Burry. He's from The Big Short. Right, he made billions of dollars during The Big Short, betting on the housing market. He's betting against the housing market again right now as we talk.
Interesting.
So Michael Burry's talking about it. So now we're real estate wholesalers. We get deals that come in. We got foreclosures that come in. We got foreclosures in our local market. As you can see right here, here's foreclosures in 2008. It all went down right down here because of the pandemic. And guess what? You're seeing it to start to spike again. And you'll see as the months go on, this is Adam data, the foreclosure starts will start to spike up again. And you can market the foreclosures. And we're already talking to sellers right now that are in foreclosure. And the proceedings have started, and now they're calling us to do something with their house. So let's say you have a deal that comes in, and here's the actual data. 1.7 million homeowners are in forbearance, 4+ million homeowners are late on the mortgage, 8.4 million renters have faced eviction. Unless you're in California, you can't evict people, which is stupid. But let's say you have a house that comes in, you have this deal, right? And it's worth $277,000. The seller owes $165,000. It goes to auction because it's in a foreclosure in 45 days. They have back payments of say $12,000. There's $112,000 of equity. Now, you could wholesale that deal, right? You could wholesale it, right? What would you do with this deal, Alex?
Sure. 277, seller owes 165, back payments of 12 grand. You know, in a situation where there's that much money in it, I would do a subject to and catch up the back payments, and then just list it and sell it that way.
Right. Yeah. So that would be a great way to try. Now there's risk involved, right? Right. Because
well, that's if you catch up the back payments, right? With 45 days, you might even be able to just make sure that you get your payoffs and reinstatements from the attorneys, and then list it. And then once you got your offer, now you have everything, put it together and get it sold.
Right. So it's worth now 277. And remember, we're talking about here is that we're going to start our pivoting process is going to start when the Federal Reserve comes out and they want to do quantitative easing, pump money in the market because of a recession that's looming, that's coming, right? So we're going to be buying at high inventory levels, right? And we're going to be able to get smoking deals on property, but we want to hold and we want to sell at low inventory levels. So the question is, how many houses can we get that we can own during these 2 to 3 year period, right? Where we can collect rents, cash flow, and get market appreciation, get forced appreciation, get discount appreciation because you're buying low, and then sell the property in a low inventory environment. This right here can create a ton of wealth if you know how to structure deals, right? So that's a good deal. You can make a good pop on it. But what if you said, you offered the seller, we said, okay, we're going to give you $5,000 net at close to move, right? We're going to wrap the existing $165,000 note for 5 years or more. I've done note wraps for 30 years for the balance of the note. Monthly payments on the 165 are 740 PITI, and you agree to pay settlements of any back payments, liens, mortgages, late payments, any judgments or anything like that. And the reason we do the settlements is because if they have secondary liens on the property, they have a pool loan on the property or whatever, this 165 can be comprised of $100,000 first, 65 second. And when the property's in foreclosure and the first lien's in foreclosure, let's call it 100,000, you can negotiate that 65 to pennies on the dollar. So I've negotiated $100,000 liens down to $3,000 seconds, their second mortgages. I've negotiated $52,000 to $5,000 on a second mortgage. So if you put this language in here, it gives you the ability to negotiate any second tier debt that's behind the first that's going in the foreclosure and basically get that for pennies on the dollar. And especially during a recessionary time, they are more than willing to negotiate to get money, and they just write it off on their books. So now you can expand your equity right out of the gate by just this one statement right here on your addendum. So now what's your deal? So you basically 165,000, 5K net, right? And this is in the contract in the addendum. And then boom, total cash needed. Total cash needed is the 12,000 to reinstate, 5,000 for the seller to be able to do that. And then you get some, some closing costs. But now it's basically $17,000 temporarily out of pocket. Temporarily is what I say. Now what we do is we turn around and we sell the property on the market for $280,000. But what we do is we do either it's called you do a rent to own.
Down payment arbitrage.
Yeah, you do a rent to own, and you do the rent to own, or you do an agreement for sale with monthly payments, right? Now, you can sell it for higher. What I like to do is do an agreement for sale, or you can do a rent to own. So a rent to own is where you do basically a 18 to 24 month lease, and then you have that lease, and then you have a purchase contract that goes with that lease, and that purchase contract is at a price agreed upon, 280 or appraisal, whichever's higher, which I really like. So you're locking in the loan. You can do that with agreement for sale. Seller carry 5 years, 240, right? So think about this. You got a down payment of $40,000. You got $240,000 seller carry, and you agreed $1,800 payments. Now, what's your payments previous? Right? Your payments previous are $740, but you're agreeing now on $1,800. You collected $40,000 cash up front on this deal. So now what happens is you arbitrage the down payments on the agreement for sale. You got $17,000 in it temporarily up front, $40,000 you got as a down payment. $23,000 is new money coming in, so it's just like wholesaling a deal. You arbitrage the payments. 1,800 minus 740 is 1,060 over 5 years is 63,000 in cash flow, and then you get sales proceeds at the close at 240,000 when they pay it off. Minus 165 is their current loan, and that's not including principal pay down. And now you get 75 later money. So you get 23,000 up front putting this deal together, cash up front. You get your $17,000 back, so you have zero money out of pocket. You get $63,000 of cash flow over 5 years, and you get a $75,000, depending on the way you structure the agreement for sale or a rent to own. So now your total profit on that deal is $161,000 versus just wholesaling it, and you have the ability for tax benefit as well. So let's say you do now. This strategy, I did this strategy in 2004 and 2005. I built a portfolio. Of 120 properties, $36 million worth, exactly like this. And I sold them all in the height of the market in 2005 and made a fortune. And that was just over a couple of years of doing this. 120 properties.
That's amazing
method. Yeah.
Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that.
And you don't need a ton of cash because you're recycling that money because you're getting that down payment on the lease to own or the land contract for deed, or agreement for sale. So you're really not transferring the property to them because it's agreement for sale. That means they have to pay the underlying note to basically have that deed transfer. So if you look at this right here, this is one deal. Now, what if you did 10 deals, right, over a course of a year or so? That's $230,000 cash that you made. That's $750,000 in equity you created, and there's $10,600 in monthly cash flow over the 5 years, and that's $1.16 million in total profit. That's not bad. That's pretty good. So now that's doing 10 deals. What if you do 50 deals, right? If you got 50 deals, $1.5 million in cash, $3.7 million in equity, $53,000 a monthly cash flow. That's at $8 million in total profit on 50 deals. You can even take it a step further and do 100 deals. That's $2.3 million cash, 7.5. So you're creating cash, you're creating equity, you're creating cash flow, and you're creating total profit, $16 million. 200 deals, you're talking $42 million. Now you're talking big money by doing this. So what I plan on doing, my plan is during this period right here, is wholesale my brains out right here, stash as much cash as possible, although you don't need a lot of cash, and then target specifically foreclosures during this period right here, during this recessionary period right here, and then be able to get the properties under contract. I'm going to buy them subject to, I'm going to sell them, I'm going to own them, right? I'm going to buy them subject to, I'm going to own the property, and I'm going to turn around and sell that property on a rent to own, more than likely, or an agreement for sale, and be able to stack as many properties as I possibly can during this time frame. Because then when it gets a low inventory environment, or the Fed comes out and they're going to start a quantitative easing process, then I'll unload them all. I'll turn around and unload them. I can 1031 exchange them into other different properties, whatever, or just unload them and do it all over again. So this, if you look in the past right here, if you go back here, look at it, boom, but you got a boom, bust, boom, but it happens over and over and over again, and it's happening again. But this is going to be bigger than I think all of them combined, because the Federal Reserve has never ever pumped ever into the marketplace. The Federal Reserve has never pumped $4 trillion into the market in such a short period of time. So they're going to have to pull it out, and it's going to create some people call it a depression. Michael Burry calls it the worst crash. If you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, he says it's going to be the worst financial crash in the history of the United States. Even worse than the Great Depression in 1929. Now, I don't believe so much of stuff. I kind of, get ahead of it. I think that there is some merit to it, but what us as real estate wholesalers, we should be excited about it, because we can help a lot of people turn their houses into cash during a time of uncertainty, right?
That's really timely right there.
Yeah. And if we're educated and you understand how to do these methods, you understand what to look for and stuff like that, you are able to do some incredible stuff. So not only can you have amazing success, there's Alex on the boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
With champagne, you have the freedom to do what you want with who you want, and you can pretty much get it all. Just by.
Is that you in the jet?
That's me in the jet, hanging out with the fam, right? I dark my hair, but so the question becomes, which way do you go, right? Which way do you go? You got one way or the other. You could try to figure it out yourself, like this guy right here. How much time and money will you lose by testing marketing campaigns because you don't know what you're doing, not knowing what to say to sellers, trying to list properties on the MLS because you don't know what to say, not knowing what to offer or calculate repairs with specific deals, not selling at the highest price possible, not understanding how to pivot with the marketplace, or not recognizing or being unorganized and losing deals, not recognizing opportunity, trusting the wrong people, structuring the deals wrong, either with partners or with sellers, valuing properties wrong, not knowing how to get deals funded if you need to get deals funded in a certain way. Nothing more is expensive than a missed opportunity. And the reason you miss opportunity is specialized knowledge, understanding and learning specifically what to do, when to do it, and do it right. So Alex and I have joined together. And we want to invite you. We have a small window, a small group of people that him and I are doing a live mastermind together. And I've been running it now for the past 2 years, and I'm working with Alex together and joined partnership with Alex on this to offer it, because he has the experience. He's been around for the last 20 years. He understands how to do Airbnbs. He understands how to structure deals with foreclosures. He understands how to, fix and flip properties and wholesale properties, in markets across the country. So what's really good about it is we can bring the experience, and it's amazing. So if you're brand new, and we're wondering who this is for, we're going to give you an application. And you can apply to basically see if you're a good match for Deal Syndicate or Six Figure Syndicate. But who is this for? Just for let's say if you're just brand new, just starting out and have done no deals, completed 1 to 5 deals, want to get the systems and processes up, wants to consistently do 1 to 3 deals a month. So what we do with Deal Syndicate is you work with my team, my disposition team, my COO, my acquisition team. You work my leads, all of my leads that we have coming in. You work those leads. You talk to sellers. You make offers. You get properties under contract with my team, and we share in the profits. Meaning You get 25% of the deal that closed, and we get the balance of that for providing lead and helping you close the deal. So you get to earn while you learn, and you come to either Phoenix or other different locations we have across the country. We're probably going to do some on the East Coast because Alex is out there. But you fly in, you spend 2 days with us as in Deal Syndicate. In Deal Syndicate, you basically spend 4 2-day implementation events with Sean and Alex in the group. We do monthly Zoom calls with Sean and Alex on there. Access Remote Millions, which is our premium program. You get access to our live events, ARIA automated software, which I showed you earlier. So you get these different software packages, but we primarily show you how to get your first deal. And also too, you get to work on it. And we also have it's another great program that works with it. It's called First Check Challenge. You go through an 8-week program. So let's say we have our event, our next event's in September. Between now and then, you go through what's called the First Check Challenge program, and you work through getting your first check. So then when you come to the event, you're ready to go. And a lot of people even have their first check before they even come to an event. So that is Deal Syndicate. Deal Syndicate is a great program where you actually get to do the business, which is great. You actually call sellers. Now there's Six Figure Syndicate. This is someone that's made 50,000 plus or more in revenue. Is typically like a one-man show. They want systems and processes, and they want to scale to 10 to 15 deals a month. So this is for someone right here that's a one-man show. They're doing everything themselves. And what happens is that's more of a mastermind style environment where we have everybody together. Everyone shares their best secret of what they do. And then they share their problem. They share their business. So we have people in there that do, 500,000 a quarter all the way up to $6.9 million a year. That share their business on exactly how they wholesale and what they do, which is pretty cool. So if you want to learn how to do this type of stuff, structure deals, if you want to learn how to wholesale nationally, you want to learn how to do Airbnbs, you want to learn how to be part of this 5% right down here, then I encourage you to apply. There's no obligation. It's not expensive. We have pretty much a payment plan for pretty much anybody. But I would highly recommend applying, and you can apply by either going to right here, it's go to joins9.com, joins9.com. You can see the video of Alex and I in our black shirts. But you'll see it's a simple application below. Where's the application? I don't see the application. Let me refresh. There's the application. So the application is right here. All you got to do is fill out the application. We have Bryant is one of our team members, and Shanna, one of our team members. They'll call you, have a conversation, see if you're a right fit for the mastermind, which one you fit into, whether it be Six Figure Syndicate or Deal Syndicate. And if we have enough spots available, we only open up a limited amount of spots because obviously it's an event space. We only can have so many people in here, so we limit. So right now we have a handful of spots open right now. We're looking for some more people that want to work with Alex and I on learning how to business. So,
and guys, if you're watching this, you want to make sure you refresh the page that you're on, and you also have that number you can call if you got questions.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So the bottom line is that there's a lot of stuff going on in the market right now when it comes to the way that the pivoting. There's a lot of incredible opportunities at the right time at the right place. There's a lot of ways to structure deals at the right time, and it's you want to surround yourself with other people that know what they're doing and can structure deals and then be able to capitalize on what's happening. So. We're excited about that. So is there any questions you have, Alex? Is there any questions on the page?
Let's see. Well, some people have been, somebody asked if we've got a coaching program on creative finance, but I think what we're talking about here includes all that. Sean's got trainings from we've got so many different trainings on everything from creative finance to Google AdWords to the down payment arbitrage, like you talked about. I mean, all those types of things are a part of this as well, right?
Yes, yeah, all the training courses are a part of it. So if you're brand new and you want to get started, we have Escape Plan. That's our signature course, which is amazing. And then if you have like if you want to learn creative financing, we have down payment arbitrage. You want to learn Google AdWords? We have a Google AdWords course. We actually have a Google AdWords guy on staff that helps manage campaigns for people, which is amazing. We have all sorts of different products when it comes to. I mean, you want to convert more deals. I have a training course just to train virtual acquisition reps. So all these products I created for myself. I didn't create them for.
Are you able to share a screen which shows like all of those that are listed?
I don't know if I don't even know how to get there. Let me see.
Yeah, like if you go to the Flip to Freedom members area, I guess.
Yeah, Flip to Freedom. I think it's. Let me see if I can.
The login.
Skip members.
Let's see. I'll look through some other questions here. Does the Six Figure Syndicate have modules or weekly meetings with the coaches, or is it just a Facebook group? No, Nicole, it is not just a Facebook group.
Yeah, Six Figure Syndicate. We do monthly Zoom calls. We have a Discord channel, which is a private Discord channel where you can get obviously questions answered. And if you're part of Deal Syndicate, we have an 8-week first check challenge program, which is just meant to help you get your first check. And it's basically a process that you follow. It's accountability to get your first check. And in that process, you learn how to do that. Plus, obviously, you get all the courses and stuff like that. So it's pretty hands-on. You have Voxer access to all the coaches we have. Part of our first check challenge. Brandon Simmons, he works directly with me. He used to be the COO of my company.
Love Brandon.
Brandon's a great guy. He's awesome. So he runs the first check challenge. He knows the business inside and out. I've been working with him for years. Which is awesome. So Six Figure Syndicate, we have a Discord channel just for Six Figure Syndicate. And we do obviously live events every quarter. We have Zoom calls every single month. And then,
and the meeting us up for,
four live meetings a year where, I mean, we just came off one with Alex. It was great. And we had a great time doing that. So, yeah.
Is the training live in Arizona include the creative training during that hands-on class?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's more of advanced. So obviously you want to get your first check first to understand that process. But then we go through specifically how to structure deals. I mean, I go through. We have people that present on doing those. We teach that, and also you get access to the preliminary courses, and then we go in detail on actually how to pitch it to a seller, how to contract it, how to paper it, and how to close it.
Awesome.
So these are all the courses.
You go ahead and share that. I'm not seeing that. There we go.
You see my screen?
Yeah. So this is all the different trainings that people get.
Virtual wholesaling. You got Remote Millions is virtual wholesaling. Escape Plan is like if you're brand new, this is where you start right here. It will basically it teaches you just even acronyms of what things or what mean, but all the way through for marketing, getting your first check, scaling it to 100,000 a month. We got,
and each one of these courses is worth at least $997 that you sold for or more, right?
Yeah, retail buyer profits is how to sell retail. 100K wholesalers, how to scale your business to 100 grand a month. Deal Conversion Pro is where we teach our onboarding our own acquisition reps. We put them through this before they even get started on the phones. Down payment arbitrage is how on how to structure seller financing and arbitrage the down payments. We have this is a live event that we did, 100K wholesale. We get resources. All of our coaching calls are recorded. We have a deal or no deal every other week where we get on a Zoom call and you bring a property and we tell you if it's a deal or no deal and we tell you why. So that's pretty cool, which works out. Brandon does that, which is awesome. I get on a coaching call every other week We got convert more deals. This is a local, if you're in a local market, exactly how to convert, more deals. We got major market domination. This is it's a more of a strategic marketing course, and it puts all the marketing from TV advertising, the radio advertising, Google advertising to direct mail advertising. So, yeah, we got, this is, over the last, I would say, like, 10 years that we've developed, and they've all been updated. I mean, we just updated Escape Plan. Remote Millions was just currently updated, which is great. PP Secrets we just launched. I just recorded this about 2 months ago right here. We just launched this last month. So all these right here are just like 100K wholesalers just out of the gate. So all these are completely refreshed and updated of current market conditions, what's happening right now. So
awesome. People are asking, where do they sign up?
You go to join.
Or I guess, where do you get the application, right?
Yeah, join S9. Fill out the application. Join S9. And you can
join s9.com.
Join s9.com. Join s9.com. If you go there, you can fill out the application. Either one of our team members will call you. They want to make sure we have the right fit, because there's no pressure. No one's going to hammer you. No one's going to, beat down your door. No one's going to call you and text you and bug you and stuff like that. It's literally, my team that is making sure that you'll fit part of the family. We do turn people away, even though people want to get started. Just because they're not a right fit. We want right people in the group, and we want to make sure it's a right fit for somebody. And sometimes it's not a right fit. Like some people, we have another level. It's called 7-Figure Syndicate, where we talk about raising capital, which you're great at, Alex. We talk about apartment syndication. We talk about, building portfolios and stuff. And you talk about home building and stuff, which is interesting now that you're part of the group. But 7-Figure Syndicate, but we're not going to teach apartment syndication when a part of 6-Figure Syndicate or part of Deal Syndicate. So if someone comes in and says, I want to learn apartment syndication, we don't teach that. We teach wholesaling houses. That's the primary thing that we teach. And we teach you how to scale your business. And then once you're up to a certain income level where you have excess cash and you want to invest in, syndication projects or buying apartments or fourplex or duplex or whatever, we can talk about that.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Let's see.
Alex will teach you how to buy a boat.
Yeah, I'll teach you how to buy a boat.
Actually, just teach us how to drive a boat, right? I'll teach you
how to drive. Hey, and maybe one of these events will come on this boat that I'm on right now, and we'll go hang out at the sandbar.
Well, we're gonna do a 7-Figure Syndicate. We're gonna do it out in Norfolk, right? And we'll get a kicking hotel right there. We'll do some masterminding. Then we'll take the boat out. And that's why it's, like I said, it's gonna be a small group of people. Take the boat out. Go hang out in the sandbar, relax in the sun, drink a couple cocktails, and have some fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does anybody have any more questions about what we're talking about here? Let's see.
Join s9.com. Join S9. Fill out your application, and we can rock and roll.
Somebody said they want a Lambo.
Well, if you want a Lambo, they're about $250,000. And I'm not a big Lambo fan because they're so loud. They're just like,
they are pretty loud, aren't they? Yeah.
My car is completely quiet. It's like it's electric, so it's like
you picked me up the other what that was the last month, and then I was like, wow, this thing is super quiet. Like, I don't hear
it all.
No revving of an engine or nothing.
Yeah. It's pretty fun. But a Lambo. So if you want a Lambo, it's $250,000. You need 10 deals if you're going to buy it cash. 10 deals, right? At $25,000 deals, and you got yourself.
There you go. Just save up your taxes for sure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's a weight thing with that, right? Like
the weight limit.
No, yeah, like you know how like if you buy like I bought my wife's Range
Land Rover.
Yeah, Range Rover,
Yeah.
it's a certain weight limit, so you get some sort of tax benefit, right?
7,500 pounds. Yep.
7,500 pounds, right?
Yeah, we talk about all kinds of cool stuff like that at these events. How to save on taxes.
Or put some bricks in the back of your Lamborghini so it qualifies.
Now that's a little hokey right there.
Yeah, that won't work, right? That will not work. So joins9.com, joins9.com, fill out the application. Love to talk to you. Love to be a part of it. We're definitely growing the mastermind now that Alex is with us. But you get to meet Alex live, get to meet me live 4 times a year, and we get to do deals together, which is great. And like it's great because we have breakout sessions on certain things on AdWords or your CRM and how to structure your CRM, how to set up your CRM. I've taken a small group of 15 people on step by step on setting up their campaigns. We fixed campaigns that were broken, and we've got people off to the races, man. It's been really good.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, let's see. What percentage of ARV are we buying at? Well, I mean, we kind of talked about that. When we get to that certain level, be like 60% of Zillow. But right now, we're still watching the market, watching what properties are being offered active as, and we're not worried about cash buyers as much because of the different things that we're doing. It's not really like a specific percentage of the ARV, especially when you're wholesaling.
Yeah. So it's in what basically we looked at right here in this Morrisville property. And here's this property. I'm telling you, we got this property for $80,000. We listed it on the MLS for $150,000, and we got a cash offer on. We actually got multiple offers on it, but we accepted an offer of $185,000. And it was pretty rough. But Morrisville's a cute little town. You'll see there's a lot of inventory in the market. What we're going to do is go in and do a filter on here. Obviously, we're going to put house. And I want to see everything that's coming soon and it's active. Look how much inventory in this little tiny town is on here. And I'm going to sort it by price low to high. And we got this little one here, 1256 right here. That's over here. Our property, just for locational purposes, you can see. Let me refresh this page. Come on. Why is this thing not doing? Oh, there it goes. So anyways, for location, wow, Redfin's slow. Come on, Redfin. All right. Come on, Redfin. So I believe it's like right in this area, but hopefully it'll come up. Okay. So we got this avenue and this avenue where we got 152 and we got the 3, and it's right on Pine Street, right between here. So we've got the 152 and the 3 that's right here. So it's right in this little pocket right here. So we've got this house for $199. It's on the market. It's over here. We've got this one for $325. This one, it's newer. It's not. Our house is built in 1916. This house is newer. Right, we've got this house. It's a little bit over 285, 1,300 square feet. It's not even fixed up. 13. It's a 3-1. This house is built in 1926. So this is comparable to our property, right? This is comparable to our property. It's a little smaller, of course, but if you look at it, they listed it 285. 285. What did we list our property at? And our property is pretty rough, right? We list our property at 150, but our property is like, if you see these pictures, they're pretty darn rough. But 459, this is newer build. So there's a lot of newer builds right here. So we wanted to be the cheapest available property that you could get, and then listed it and then bid it up, right? Here's a 245 over here. This is a mobile home for 1,800, 4-bed, 2-bath. So then we looked at over here. So we are by far the cheapest available, right? And then we go for sold, and then we're just going to see what's sold there. Look at a lot of inventory sold. We got a 55 right here in this area. Can't touch that. 219, right here, 1,100 for this little box, right? So basically what we're doing right here is we want to be significantly low. And on this one, the ARV on this property, all fixed up, is worth about 335, and we got it for 80. Why? Because there was a tenant that trashed the place, and the place was in shambles. It was in shambles. So because it was beat up, we could get it for a low price. But so you have,
and you let the market tell you.
yeah, but you have to understand how to anchor low offers. You have to be able to understand how to anchor, and you can't be afraid to come out and say, hey, listen, what's the best you can do on the property based upon the condition, based upon the current market right now? You know, we can give you 60 grand, 70 grand. They're going to freak out, but then they're going to, instead of them coming back at 285, they're going to come back and say, well, you know, how about 80? And there's ways to do that. I have scripts for my whole team. We have them pass off to underwriters, so they can kind of blame the underwriter for that price based upon, you know, market conditions, and especially with inventory right now. I would definitely be talking to sellers about current market conditions, about inventory. I mean, if you look at all the inventory in the market right here, just in this little pocket of Morrisville, you're seeing this happen all across the country, where you're going in the markets, and now there's a lot of inventory to be able to see. And now what happens is you're seeing sellers come out and they're listing their properties, and they're looking at they're listing below everybody else so they can sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just got to be aware of the market around you. You got to know what to look for, and you got to be able to read what the market is telling you. And when you're able to be a part of a group that everybody's thinking the same way, everybody has kind of that same vision, it's a really awesome thing, because it's not just, you don't feel like you're alone. You don't feel like you are floating out there without anybody there to guide you along the way. That's one thing I love about the mastermind model and having people there. When I went to the mastermind this last month, it was amazing to see everybody and see everybody's going from just getting started to now they're reporting on their numbers, and their numbers are amazing, and they're building teams and really building legacy. And then one of the guys we brought out there, Joe Taylor, and how his goal was to bonus his employees a certain amount.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know, like that was his goal. I want to be able to bonus my employees a certain amount, because then obviously that means he's making a certain amount of revenue, and
Sure.
his company's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, and everybody runs it a different way. You run your company a bit different from the way I run company, but we're still all wholesaling.
Right.
And I take tips from you. I've been taking tips from you with virtual way you work with virtual assistants, and the way your team works and stuff like that, the way you fund properties and stuff. I've learned from you, and I've learned from Joe a ton. Joe's learned a ton from me, and we've learned from everybody in the group, even Matt. Remember Matt? Matt was talking in there, and he's talking about, you know, Bing and how to tweak just right to get the lowest leads cost on the planet, but have leads coming in like crazy, almost better than Google.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing actually I need to do.
Get on that. Oh, dude,
I know.
I did it immediately, man. I was on it. So make sure you guys go to joins9.com, joins9.com. You can go there, fill out your application. One of our team will contact you and just have a conversation with you. No pressure whatsoever. No one's going to pressure you on anything. They're going to tell you about what we're doing, how we're doing it. And if you want to join and be part of Syndicate 9 Mastermind, we're growing rapidly. I think we have 140, 150 members right now. So we do Zoom calls every month. You get every one of our products, which is great. If you're brand new and you have never done a deal, you get First Check Challenge, you get Discord channel access for the whole group, which is everybody. So it's a great support mechanism for someone that's brand new, or someone that's been doing business and they're doing 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 deals a month. They maybe have one employee, but they want to scale it to the next level and they don't know how to do it. So they want to go from a one-man show to an organization. And here's the thing, we don't want to mess around right now. Now's the time to really get serious, scale your business, get to the next level, get as much cash put away, pivot when they start quantitative easing, and then start that structure of buying properties like crazy. If you can get 50 properties under your belt, you're gonna be sitting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And guys, if you are going to the application page and it's you're trying to apply and it's not working, make sure you refresh the page. And there is a phone number on there as well that you can call if you've got questions.
Perfect. So cool.
Awesome.
There's no other questions. I'll let you get. You're getting dark there.
Yeah, we started with it light and now it is dark.
Yeah, we started with it with light. Yeah, and if it wasn't for my technical issues,
it's all good.
It's all good. Perfect. All right. Well, let's sign off then. I think everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry again.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Sorry for the technical issues if you've been on since the beginning. We started about 18 minutes late, so we apologize. Trying to get this thing connected to all people and mechanisms, but we appreciate you guys. We appreciate your time. We'd really love to meet you in person, work with you directly. If you want to do that, go to joins9.com, joins9.com. Alex, it's been a pleasure as always. And again, I lost my voice. I'm always losing my voice.
Well, somebody just asked really quick, when's the next meetup?
When's what? The next meetup?
The next meetup.
The next the next actual mastermind meeting. The next mastermind is in September. It's in September. But like I said, we have a full schedule. I have a whole event team that schedules events and does all that stuff. But it's in September, and it's in Phoenix, and you can come out here and basically, it's awesome. And then between now and then, depending if you're a six figures, deal syndicate, depend on what activities you have going on, which is cool.
Awesome. Very good.
Cool, man. All right. Well,
thanks everybody.
Have fun in the small boat, the little dinghy boat you built.
The little dinghy. Yes,
yeah.
Definitely.
Maybe you can go find your kayak.
Yeah. These people lost my kayak. Ridiculous.
So you had an Airbnb, a tenant that came in, lost your kayak.
They lost my kayak.
Okay,
we provide them with 4 kayaks.
4 kayaks. You came back at 3?
Yeah, they came back with only 3.
What the heck are they thinking?
Well, here's the problem. The problem is that we rented it to what we thought was 10 people. They had like 20 people there. So, yeah, pretty crazy. They used all our towels, all our provisions, all our little just in case boxes that we had. Everything was used. There was throw up all over the blanket. Oh, it was horrible. Horrible.
You got this beautiful house. You got this beautiful house and it's just done perfectly. And then you have them raid the place.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, it's all part of it.
That's the problem with Airbnb. So, I mean, that's why it's investment property. You don't live there personally, but you do go there for vacation, stuff like that. So it's kind of tough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. We clean it up and it's good to go. So you can always replace a blanket.
Yeah. As long as they have to buy you the stupid kayak.
Exactly. Well, that's what we're doing right now.
Well, we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah, that next episode, we'll talk about how to charge back your Airbnb guests.
Nice. I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before, but
yeah. Well, yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. God bless. Have a good night. Say hey to your family. Everyone on here, thank you so much for spending time with us. Greatly appreciate it. And au revoir.
Au revoir.